This video is going to be about the unbelievable impact that Christian Watson has had in the last 3 weeks for the Green Bay Packers offense. Totally revolutionized things in terms of points per game for them, downfield threat, red zone threat. Haven't seen him get the ball a ton recently on like sweep concepts, run concepts, but you know it's there. Haven't seen the tape from college. To me, it's been a unique story, but one that you see play out often in the NFL and professional sports in general. Not from a Christian Watson perspective, but from a fan perspective. If you go back 3 weeks early in their win over the Cowboys, I think in week 10, there was a lot of things on social media about Christian Watson dropping the ball, missing opportunities. I think I even saw people mention that four-letter word that starts with a B, bust. And now 3 weeks later, you're talking about a guy who has 6 touchdowns in the last 3 games. I've got him for 21 targets. Maybe it's 20, actually. 20 targets and 1 run in the last 3 games. So 6 touchdowns in his last 21 touches in the NFL, or 21 touches / targets. I think that's pretty unbelievable. Actually, let me rephrase that. Let's get the stats up here so you can see it. The first part of that Dallas game, he had 2 drops. I think there was a third target there. He kind of exploded, I think, later in that game, or maybe late second quarter onward. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. So I suspect it's not 6 touchdowns in his last 21 touches. I think it's probably 6 touchdowns in his last 16 touches, maybe 17. I don't know what other players, who are some other players in NFL history that have had that kind of run. 6 touchdowns in, let's call it 16 touches, just for the purposes of hyperbole or being hyperbolic, however you say it. It's amazing to me that we would be so short-sighted as fans that we would look at a guy who's, 23 years old and had made nothing but big plays at North Dakota State and in high school when he got his opportunity. He went to a great high school with a great tradition, so didn't get a chance to start in high school until like junior year, I believe, maybe even senior year. The speculation that was out there as recently as 3 weeks ago that he couldn't play, ridiculous. If you had seen the college film, there would have been no reason to fret. Look at the targets. The targets weren't there early on in the season through injury, whatever the case may be. As soon as the targets showed up, as soon as opportunity showed up, Christian Watson took advantage. Doesn't surprise me. Let's look at some of the film from the last 2 weeks. This is Eagles film, week 12. It's a cool design. Love is in the game, so Rodgers is out. In-breaking route against man coverage is over. I wonder if Christian Watson is going to change the coverages that the Packers see. Like, for real. Number one, I like the design. You got stacked twins. And then the number one receiver, the outside receiver, is going to run kind of a bubble. What they're doing is they're just trying to remove this guy from the equation completely, clean up the read for the quarterback once he executes the play-action fake. You do have a linebacker, and once Watson is about to clear that window, he's going to throw it ahead of him. Look, he's getting ready to pull. He's pulling the pin on the grenade now. Watson hasn't even gotten past that window. He hasn't even cleared the second-level defender, meaning getting to this side. I wonder if he's going to change the coverages the Packers see, limit the coverages that they'll see, because you simply cannot play this coverage against Christian Watson and not give up a huge play eventually. Now, if you're talking about a top-of-the-food chain corner, I don't like top 10 lists, but at some point you have to talk about it. Top 15, top 18 corners in the league, maybe they're able to hold him down because of their athleticism, their understanding of leverage, and their technique. 85% of the guys he sees on a weekly basis, he's going to be able to do that too if you play man-to-man. Another thing I need to mention, I feel like recently I've talked about this a whole bunch of times. When you have a burner like a Christian Watson, who has taken so many plays to the house in his lifetime, you don't do this. This is how touchdowns get taken off the board. This is how you lose games. Well, they lost this game anyway, but this is how you lose games. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see, I think this is Lazard. He does get his right hand on the chest, and it's not called, but it could be. Do I want it to be called? No. It's a quick decision by Love. Knows where he's going with the football. This design, if you ask me, is entirely to get the ball to Watson quickly, and it's over. When he's got this kind of separation, there's just not many guys in the NFL maybe 5 guys he'll run up against all year in terms of a matchup that are going to be able to keep up with him in terms of his foot speed. Here's the play I'm talking about. He does get his hand in front. But this is just a dangerous thing to do when you could possibly take 7 points off the board by getting involved with a block behind the play. And I'm not talking about unnecessary roughness. I'm talking about blocking the back. Because depending on how the defender falls, sometimes referees call it just because of the body language when they fall. All right, the week before against the Titans, this is typical Aaron Rodgers, late first quarter. They've just had a second down run play, I believe, and they're going hurry up. A defender and a coach are left on the field. Rodgers is going to throw it up. Christian Watson up here, man-to-man, full extension, defender hanging on him. You get a better view from the end zone angle, don't worry. Let me rewind this back so you can see the coach, and I believe it's Simmons getting off the field. So classic Aaron Rodgers taking advantage of a defense, substituting. Maybe that's not Simmons. And then there's a coach who appears to be walking off. Looks like a coach to me. I didn't watch the game live. Man free. I think you've got man in all those places. Running back didn't release, so it looks like you've got an extra defender in the man free. Normally you have man free, a low hole defender, and then a middle of the field free safety. So 2 surplus players. In this case, you've got 3. Rodgers eventually throws it up because he knows he's got a flag, free play essentially. Unbelievable catch. So big body, big target, fast as all hell. 4.38, 4.36 at the combine, something like that. Unbelievable for a guy that size. I think it's possible that at some point we'll get so much production from Christian Watson, so many big plays that people will say, how in the world did he last till the second round? Am I saying that that's definitely going to happen? I don't know. I think it's possible. And if you look at the last 3 weeks, again, 21 touches, 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns in probably his last 16 or 17 touches. I think there's clear evidence there that Christian Watson is just a guy who's going to make these plays. Same game against the Titans, end zone angle first. I think a lot of the stuff is designed to use Christian Watson's speed, and he's just gliding here across the field, to be honest with you, initially. Packers do a great job of this. I think that there's a lot of NFL teams that could steal some of these concepts. I'm a Ravens fan, and I think that they could steal some of this to help them out. You're getting a lot of cross-flow action, running back going one way. The H-back is here. We'll pull this back a little bit. My video player is not great, to be honest with you, so I just got to hard pull it back. So there's the H-back going this way, running back, cross-flow or split flow, and then simultaneous to that, you're getting the reverse threat to the other side. Taking advantage of so many teams that play and try to get their eyes in the backfield so much and get their eyes on the quarterback, as opposed to certain situations where you have people that are clearly reading routes and then maybe taking a peek at the quarterback as well. In this case, Christian Watson clears it on the over concept, easy touchdown. He makes easy touchdowns look easy. I mean, everyone does. But in some cases, he makes hard touchdowns look easy. If you saw his 3 touchdown performance against the Cowboys, some of those plays, if you ask me, were not easy. Or they shouldn't have been. But yet they were. Deep ball against Tennessee. So it's not, and it's incomplete. It's not like he's winning every single deep ball. I think Rodgers has tried to put this in a place where Christian Watson can win. Could it have been pass interference? I don't know. I'm rooting for the guy. I'm rooting for the guy to still end up with, I mean, hell, this is crazy. He didn't get a ton of touches in the first 9 weeks. Can he get to 12 touchdowns? Can he get to 10? I mean, if a rookie receiver scores 10 touchdowns, I feel like that's a tremendous success. Let me know what you think in the comment section of that thought. Similar concept here in terms of cross or split flow. You've got the tight end who came down in motion. He's wrapping to block. One running back heading off to his left, and then Rodgers and 28, who I think is Dylan, are meshing, making it look like run here. I think that with the running back talent they have, I know their offense has been tremendously inconsistent, but look at the offense the last 3 weeks when he's been producing. They're not nearly as inconsistent. I think Christian Watson I guess you take Aaron Rodgers off this team, and your consistency level, your ceiling, and your floor are drastically lowered. I understand that. I think it's possible that Christian Watson is the guy who really could push the Packers offense over the top, and they need him. They need him to produce like this. They need him to produce for consistency, for big plays. They hung in there last week. I know they lost 40-30, 40-33, 40-34, something like that. I believe Christian Watson has the ability to be one of the top players from this draft, which, if you ask me, was one of the deepest drafts in recent years. And I know you've got a hell of a lot of receiver talent that's come out of this draft. Jameson Williams hasn't played yet at all. Jahan Dotson, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, so many. Drake London, one of my favorite guys. Christian Watson, to me, is like a faster, more explosive version of Drake London. And I don't mean that disrespectfully towards Drake London as a Ravens fan. I was hoping like crazy that Drake London got to 14 and the Ravens had to make a decision. Interesting to me if Christian Watson had made it to where the Ravens drafted in round 2. I think it was 37, but it might have been 38. I'm not sure. So 3 picks. Maybe it was a little more than that. Maybe my memory's incorrect here. As it is, like, Packers are blessed and lucky to get Christian Watson. Aaron Rodgers, Love, whoever's playing quarterback there, they're blessed to have him. I hope he ends up with 10 or 12 touchdowns and destroys that whole narrative that a lot of people, even Packers fans, were throwing out there as recently as 3 weeks ago, that he was a bust, that he wasn't worth the pick. It's really unfortunate to me. He's 23 years old, and this happens with so many guys. They get labeled, they get put in a box when they're 22 or 23, and most of the people doing that judgment, most of the people being so judgy, are in their 30s and 40s. Just a weird dynamic to me. It's really, I guess, absent-minded or willfully ignorant to judge people when they're 22, 23 based on 6-8 weeks of evidence. And you yourself were a person that was probably immature 20 years ago or 10 years ago or even 5 or 6. I tend to be, as I get older, I tend to be a little more forgiving and wait a little longer to make judgment on players. And I think that served me well. And I wish that more fans did that as well. Let me know what you think of my breakdown, what you think of my thoughts there at the end. If it was too preachy, forgive me. And what you think of Christian Watson's play overall. I think every team in the NFL that passed on him is going to possibly be regretting it. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section.